was in control. And so when God would say, Jeffrey, I need you to do, I would say, no, God, you don't need that. Give me something else. When God would say, Jeffrey, I want you to pray for so-and-so, I don't even like them. God, I'm not doing it. Give me somebody else to pray for. When God would give me certain things to do, I would tell God what I will and what I will not do.
Come on here.
Say it.
And that's because my perspective was skewed.
That's right.
I really didn't know who God really was. But Isaiah saw God for who he really was. God put on a show for Isaiah. Isaiah said God was sitting on his throne high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple.
Yes.
Sitting on his throne indicates that God is in fact a king.
Come on here.
A king with a throne.
Yes.
A king with a kingdom.
Yes.
He is the judge and sovereign ruler
Yes, he is.
of this kingdom. You know when a king sits on his throne, you know what that symbolizes, right? When a king sits on his throne, he's about to pass out decrees. He's about to tell you rules. He's about to do some judging. He's about to do some solving of some problems. He's in his capacity there.
Come on.
Isaiah says he was sitting upon his throne high, indicating that God is a king above all other kings. His kingdom is above all other kingdoms, and he rules over all other rulers.
Yes.
Yes.
He says, and lifted up, indicating that not only is he high already, but we are continuously lifting him up higher and higher. If you know what, if we are lifting God higher and higher, you recognize that there's no other kingdom that can catch up. If we're lifting him up high every moment of every day, we're lifting him higher and higher. You can try all day long to try to be above God, but you'll never make it. Amen. Isaiah says he's lifted high. I looked up lifted high, and it's essentially saying higher and higher and higher and higher. Then Isaiah says his train filled the temple. God's robe has a train on it. And all kings have this robe with a train. And if you really look in your research and find out about the train tells a story. The train tells a story of the kingdoms that were conquered. The train tells a story of where God has been and everyone he's conquered over. So what would happen was the king, when they went to war with another kingdom, after they defeated that kingdom, they would go and cut off the train of the king's robe and sew it onto theirs. And so now this robe gets longer and longer depending on how many kingdoms the king has conquered.
Come on here.
The Bible says, Isaiah says, God's train filled the temple.
That's right. Come on, man.
Now imagine God's temple. If you imagine how big God's temple's got to be, because you got seraphim flying everywhere. You got your 24 judges, this is in Revelation, throwing their 24 elders, throwing their crowns down. Imagine how big God's kingdom and throne room is. And God's train fills the temple. Can I sum it up for you? God is the king above all kings who rules over all kingdoms.
Yes.
Who is constantly being lifted up above everyone and everything, and he conquers all.
Yes.
Essentially, that's what Isaiah is saying. You see, when you have an Isaiah experience, you begin to see God the way you're supposed to see him.
Yes.
We're supposed to see God as the king of all kings, ruler over everything. We're supposed to see God as there is nothing in this world that doesn't belong to him.
Yes.
Even kings have to bow to this king. Even emperors have to bow to this king. Even presidents have to bow to this king.
Right.
You see, when you have that Isaiah experience, you begin to see him, and you'll see he's King of Kings. He's Lord of Lords. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He's the one and only true sovereign God.
Yes.
That's right.
You begin to recognize who he really is.
Yes.
And now that your perception has changed, here's what God does to you. After he shows you himself, then he makes you turn around and take a perspective of, after he shows you him, then he makes you turn around and take a perspective of yourself.
Yes, yes.
And so you start looking at him and you see how big and awesome he is.
Yeah.
And you see what this big old gigantic God is and how awesome he is. And then you turn around and you look at yourself. And then you get a perspective, a change of your perspective. See, I used to tell God what I wouldn't do until I had my experience with God. And then I realized I don't have a right to tell God what I will and will not do.
That's right.
I didn't, you know what? I was brave.
Mercy.
I was brave. Because at any given moment, God could have said, stop breathing. And I'm done. But I decided I'm going to tell God. So after I saw God for who he really is, after seeing the Lord, Isaiah turned and looked at himself. You see, you can't see God for who he truly is and not look at ourselves.
Yes.
God is the standard by which everyone else has to be judged against. God, because it says in 1 Peter chapter 16, God says, be ye holy, for I am holy. In other words, you got to be like me.
Yes.
If you're not matching up to me, then you're below par. And essentially, what Isaiah saw of God, and then he looked at himself and found out, I'm not there yet. He said, woe is me,
Yes.
for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips. That word woe, it symbolizes deep distress. When Isaiah looked at himself, he found himself in deep distress because he found himself so dirty, so unworthy, so should never have been there, that he looks at himself and he says, whoa. And then he says, I am a man of for I am undone.
Yes.
Yes.
That word undone means desolate.
Wow.
It means sorrowful through as if separated from a loved one. That's important. Isaiah recognized he was nowhere near connected with God.
Wow.
He was too dirty to be so. He says, I am unclean. That word unclean means defiled or debased, the pureness of excellence of. In other words, all of the pureness is gone.
Yes. Yes.
There is nothing there pure left. He says, I am a man of unclean lips, vain words or speech. How often do we talk more than we should? How often do we say and swear more than we should? How often do we make promises we never intend to keep? In other words, Isaiah is saying, I am in deep distress because I'm separated from God, because I've made myself impure with my vain words, with my speech. When faced with the glory of God, we can't help but see how dirty we truly are. You see, it's easy to compare ourselves with other people.
Yes.
I ain't as bad as so-and-so. Well, she bad too. You bad together. We all bad.
Yes.
You can't compare yourselves with other people because they're just as dirty as we are.
That's right.
But when we compare ourselves to God, we get the true picture of ourselves.
Yes. Say it.
We begin to see the dirt on ourselves.
Yes.
Y'all remember y'all ever experienced the Kirby vacuum guy come to your house?
Yeah.
Y'all